All right. Yeah. So just from my background, who am I talking to? In terms of people, you're all business owners, or perhaps you could just very, very quickly just explain who you are and what you do, literally 20 seconds. Hopefully English is okay. Možemo u hrvatski isto, ali bolje za mene engleski. Hello?
So maybe we can start. Okay. Krešimir starts.
Hi, I'm Krešimir. I'm from Split. I'm a postdoctoral researcher as a physicist.
Bruno?
Hello there, my name is Bruno. I am the master degree student of Sustainable Mobility and Logistics Management.
Fantastic. Marko?
Don't be shy.
Olea, hi there. Hello? It's not working. Okay. Never mind. Okay, so that's quite important for me to understand where you are. That's always one of the first things you should do when you're going into a situation, is try and understand who you're talking to. Yeah, because obviously you can judge the way you speak to people based on the backgrounds that they have and you know, possibly the experience that you believe they have. Yeah. So my company is Triloque, and I'm here to sort of give you a bit of an idea of the sorts of things you can do. What I am is an engineer. Okay, I'm a master in engineering, mechanical, and I've been in business over 20 years. I graduated in 1997 from Aston University, so I am a qualified mechanical engineer. I'm an unqualified psychologist. Okay, that means I like psychology, I like people, I like organizations. So I do a lot more psychology these days than I do mechanical engineering, but I'm not qualified for that. Yeah, these are two psychologists. You know, this one on the right, everybody knows him, but I don't like him. That's Freud. Yeah, this is a guy called Jung. He's much cooler. Yeah, he used more scientific analysis rather than interpretation for his methods of psychology. I work according to his approach in many cases. I'm a practologist. Yeah, so I'm a practicalologist. Yeah, so I would love to do a PhD one day. Really like that, but as you see, 20 years I've been working, and all my studies have been on the ground in the field. Yeah, I've never been able to do any depth research like you guys can do. But you know, it's test and try and see, and over 20 years I've been able. The result of what you will see today is the result of 20 years of trying something, and this works and this doesn't work, and this works and this doesn't work. I call that practologist. I've been a CEO, I've been a supply chain manager, I've been an ops director, I've been a lean practitioner, I've been all sorts of stuff. These are some of the brands that I've worked in, either supporting or working directly for them. Okay, some really big ones: helicopters, packaging here in Croatia, tires and wheels, automotive. So quite a big range. I have kids, and that's a lot of a lot of management required there. I like rugby, so I'm a big fan of Nada in Split, and I'm also a musician, and I'm a Dalmatinac in training. So hopefully I'll end up looking like this guy here eventually. Yeah. And maybe I can sing like him as well, but we'll see. So today is the Elusive Formula. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. Okay. I'm not sure how this normally works, but I will go through it, and I don't mind if you stop me halfway through and ask me a question or two. It's okay for me. It's only a question of time, because once you start asking me a question, then I might go into more depth and we might run out of time. Okay, so it's up to you. Let's see how it goes. Catalyzing success. So the presentation you're about to see is because somebody invited me to South Africa a few years ago to go and do a conference, and they wanted me to talk about lean and business improvement. And I thought, that's boring, because like there's millions of books and lots of consultants that do all that stuff all the time. Yeah. And one thing I noticed over my years of working is that nobody ever really looks hard at the organization and how to get the team to work together, and how people interact. Yeah. So I wanted to do something about people rather than do something about whatever you might find in lean manufacturing or the Toyota method or something written by Peter Drucker or some other famous management consultant. So I'm not a scientist in this case, actually. Yeah. And so this is not scientific research. Yeah. Can you see this well? Is it okay? Yeah. This isn't scientific research. Energy is a big problem at the moment, isn't it? Yeah. So electric prices are going up. We're talking about green energy and reusable energy. I've discovered a new energy that nobody discovered before, and it's called Inspirational Energy. Okay. It's free. It's recyclable. It's endless. You can have as much as you want. Yeah. And it's all over the world. It's not a limited resource. Yeah. So we got a physicist there, so he can tell us all about potential kinetic, electromagnetic, and energy. I've discovered inspirational energy. And I describe inspirational energy as something which inspires people to achieve excellence. Okay, to really achieve excellence in everything they do. All right. And you say, well, what is excellence then? And I had a guy, or one director, senior director in a company once came up to me. He said, Pete, how do we know when we achieved excellence? And I said, you will never have achieved excellence. It's more a question of achieving excellence. Now, to explain that, I'll go on to this slide here. Okay. So if you've got the results up the side here, so whether it's a profit result, you're making the most profit, or you've got good profit, or you've got good or bad scrap rates, or poor hit rates on the internet, or low peer scores for your research papers or something like this. Yeah. That doesn't mean to say you're not achieving excellence. Yeah. In my opinion, yeah, excellence is something you can achieve even when you're at the start of your working career. Yeah. It means that you've got a process in place which is going to deliver you the results. So often when I go into a company and they need help, the first thing I'm going to look at is to say, do we have a process in position and an organization in position that can deliver good results in the end? And if we do, it's only a matter of time. Yeah. So I don't care if we're doing bad today in terms of profit output, but what I do care about is that we get ourselves organized and get ourselves in position so that we're always getting better all the time. And if we've got that process and that organization, then for me, we're already achieving excellence. Okay. So excellence is about achieving, and you never get to the end. You just keep going. Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah, it's not binary. It's not 1 or 0. Okay, so just a minute, because I need to get this out of the way, otherwise I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so it's good I'm speaking to some scientists again. Yeah, so we know that we've got the energy triangle, where you need a fuel, oxygen, and ignition. 3 things to be able to get those things to react, and when they react, they give out heat, don't they, and energy. Yeah. The same thing in chemical reactions. You can have a catalyst with 2 components. Without one of these 3 components, you don't get energy out. Yeah, there's no reaction. Yeah. So I thought, how about I use that as an analogy for how we work with our teams. Okay. So I figured out that we can have an Energizer. Okay. This is very often the leader, but it doesn't have to be. It can be one person in the group who is, you know, giving energy or inspiring or motivating other people. We have the team members, of course. And then we have an opportunity or a challenge. Yeah. Notice that I'm not saying a problem. I always try to talk in the positive, but that is what it is. It's a problem. But it doesn't have to be just a problem, because as we said before, we always want to be improving. So you should be creating a gap all the time. You should always be looking, what next, how much higher. Yeah, so we're always looking for irregularities, incongruities, or inconsistencies, or something that's abnormal, or simply something which is not where it needs to be, or it's not where I want it to be. So I actually, you know, if today I'm able to run 100 meters in 10 seconds, then I don't stop there. I make another gap. I make another deviation. So now my target is 9. Yeah. So I always create a gap. I always create a deviation to work towards, and that gives me a challenge. So I need these 3 things: an Energizer or a catalyst, a team member, and an opportunity and a challenge. And if I got those 3 working together, then I get an improvement, and that improvement gives out inspirational energy. Yeah. In other words, people see that they've improved something and they get inspired by it. Okay. So how do I get people to achieve these improvements and so get inspired by what they're doing? Okay. I will just jump off this presentation and give you a little bit of an idea about why is it important for people to be inspired. Okay, so we jump into a little bit of philosophy or psychology. I don't know if you've ever heard of a theory about the five levels of happiness. Okay, so you've got 5 levels of happiness, and the first level is I buy a pair of shoes. Yeah, like my kid, he wants to go and buy a pair of Nike or something, and he buys it and he's very happy. That's happiness through acquisition. But it's no good, because after a while they're very old. Yeah. I've got a second level of happiness is happiness through comparison. It means, you know, oh, I've got a nicer car than you. Zvonne's got a nicer car than me, so I'm happier because I see that I've got a nicer car than you, but Zvonne's even more happy because he's got a better car than me. Yeah, but again, it's not a really cool level of happiness, because eventually you're always going to find that somebody's got something better than you have. Yeah, so then you're on the opposite side. So we start getting interested in a strong type of happiness or satisfaction when we get to level 3. And level 3 is where you achieve something for yourself which is long lasting. So you learn how to do something. You learn how to ride a bike. You learn how to play a musical instrument. You learn a new language. You achieve an exam. Yeah, all of these things are things that will stay with you and they're useful to you in the future. So what happens is every time you use them, you get satisfaction from it. So that's a really good level of happiness or satisfaction. And it inspires you to do more. The 4th level is actually when you help others, or you achieve something as a team. So if we all work together and we discover something, and that something gets turned into a product and it goes into the market and it sells, and then I don't know, Procter and Gamble comes along and buys our company for $2 billion. That's fantastic achievement, but it doesn't need to be the $2 billion. We're already happy when I see that I contributed to the team and the team was successful. And then what happens is, you as another team member, you see that I'm happy and you get even more happy because I'm happy, and you get this bouncing around of people, being satisfied and happy with each other and happy with the team. That's the whole point of this energizing. So it's the fourth level. It's the fourth level of happiness or satisfaction that we're going for. The fifth level of happiness is what they call pure love. But that's not where we're looking today. We're stopping at number 4. Or number 3, which is acquiring skills for yourself or assisting a team to achieve something together. So that's how this energy thing is working on the 5 levels of happiness. If we come back to the presentation here that we're looking at, we have, like I said, the 3 elements. So let's look at the first element first, which is the Energizer. So what is the Energizer doing? The Energizer needs to give intensity of energy to the team member on one direction and focus towards the challenge on the other side. Okay, so we need to do both. So how do I give intensity to a team member? So to give intensity to a team member, I've got to be present. I said to Zvoni that I'd much prefer to do this presentation in a live atmosphere rather than in the Zoom call, because I like to be closer to people and interact much more with them. And certainly if you're in a production environment, you've got to be present, or in a teaching environment it's much easier if you're present, because you can judge how people are by their body movements and by the way they're listening to you and all sorts of different stuff. So presence is very important. And also being seen. It's so important what other people see, rather than what you see. It's important that they see you. You've got to show interest in people, not just in what they're doing, but in themselves. Hands-on. Even as a CEO, I was probably one of the first guys to get the brush out and sweep the floor. And people like that. I don't do it just to show off. I actually do it because it needs cleaning. But if people believe you're doing it, for the right reasons, they really, really appreciate it. You might not be able to do the same things that they can do. For example, maybe you got a mechanic or something. At least you can hold his tools while he's doing his job, and he's happy because you're with him, and you're trying to get your hands involved, as long as it's safe, of course. Understanding other people. Gemba, this is a Japanese word for, it just means walking around and studying and working with people. Consistency. This is really key management thing. And actually it's the same in life. Humans don't like things that aren't consistent. Okay. They really don't like it if one day you act like this and the next day you act like that. It's even with the kids. If one day you say, kid, it's not really good to do this, you shouldn't do that, that's a bad thing, and then the next day you do it, it blows their mind, because they don't really know which way they should go. Should they listen to your rule or not? And it's the same in teams and stuff. You can't turn up to work one day and be really, really happy and be patting everybody on the back just because you're happy, and the next day you come and you're really, really mad and really, really angry. It really makes people unstable. So you've always got to try and be consistent with the way you talk to people and the way you behave with them, and they'll appreciate that. Sharing. This is again about getting close to people. You don't need to just share about work. Find a common ground that you can talk about. Do you both own dogs? Do you both like Hajduk football team? Or maybe you both dislike Hajduk football team. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But you, the idea is that you find something to share, yeah, because you break up, you break up the pressure of talking about work, and then once people are more comfortable, then you can actually get involved and start talking about work, supporting people, challenging them. This is really important. There's nothing wrong with giving people a poke and say, hey, did you do that project yet? Did you finish that? Have you started yet? Yeah, this is really important. You shouldn't be afraid to challenge. Yeah, and coaching. Yeah, that could create a whole new chapter about coaching and how to coach. But basically, coaching is the best form of getting somebody to achieve, if you can. Yeah, because coaching is about asking open questions so people arrive at the answer by themselves. Okay. So that's this side, and it, at different times you'll be giving different levels of intensity, and you've got to figure out how much shall I give and how much shall I not give? Because sometimes, obviously you don't want to be going into a team area or a production area and goes, hey, everybody, let's get intense. Yeah. Hey, how are you? Oh, and then it was like, no, what's this guy on? You've got to judge how much intensity to give at any one point in time, sometimes more, sometimes less. So we move over this part of the triangle, which is the focus. Okay. People like to have a purpose. This is really, really important. Anybody that doesn't have a purpose in life is a little bit lost. Okay. And they're less effective and less efficient in what they do. Yeah. And that's, again, it's the same thing in the whole of life. If you don't know what your purpose is, you don't feel so happy about it. As soon as you've got a purpose and you've got a focus and you know what you need to do, then, you get a lot more satisfaction out of it, and you can measure against what you're supposed to be doing. So that's what this is about, is putting a focus and a purpose to what you're doing. Yeah. And we find that in the challenge. Yeah. So it's identifying these gaps that we said before, something that's not right. Let's give some focus to it. How do we give the focus? So one way of giving focus is by setting up vision, mission, and values. Okay. Vision, a lot of people get these mixed up sometimes with like some branding phrase or something. Yeah. I don't use these as a branding phrase. That's okay for marketing and fine. But actually what this is, the reason that we use this is to get people focused all in one direction. So the vision for my company is yeah. I mean, the classic example is when John F. Kennedy was walking around some place in NASA, and he saw the cleaning lady. Yeah. And he said, what do you do? And she said, I helped to put man on the moon. Yeah. Now it's like, wow, it's very clear to her that she's not here just to clean the floor. She's contributing to a team, and that team is designed to put the man on the moon. Yeah, it's a very clear mission that they had at that time. So she was clear why she was doing what she was doing. She felt she had purpose. KPIs, key performance indicators, measures, high visibility tools. Okay. Maybe you're not aware of some of these things. This is more lean stuff, but we have a tool called value stream mapping, process mapping. There's a Japanese approach called 5S, where you get everything in order, make things visible, setting standards. So anything that makes things more visible. And again, humans like visible stuff. Yeah, we like things on the walls. Yeah, as long as they're updated and they're useful. Never put anything on the wall, by the way, that's no use. Yeah, I've been to plenty of companies that put lots of graphs and stuff, and they got millions and millions of graphs, and nobody uses them. And the workers think, why the hell are they doing that? That's a complete waste of money that they could be giving me. So don't overdo it, but do put stuff up that's relevant. Yeah, team meetings always very good. Team info boards, we'll probably see an example of that later. And setting expectations. Okay, we can be setting expectations all the time, every day. Yeah, as I'm walking around, you know, I can see something, some unsafe behavior, for example. Perhaps we're in an area where we're supposed to be wearing safety shoes, and I can see people that are not wearing safety shoes. So what I'll go up there and I'll say, hey, I'll do some coaching. I'll say, hey, do you think it's safe what you're doing? You know, wearing your normal shoes. And I get them to think about it. And they say, all right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe I should be wearing safety shoes. Yeah, good. Okay. So I've set an expectation there. Yeah, I've done it through coaching. Okay. And they've understood that now we expect them to behave in a safe way. Okay. So this is the two parts. One is intensity. So that's how to get to the member. And this is the focus. This is how to show them what is the focus. Why are they here? What is their purpose? Okay. Worker or team member. Yeah. Okay. Again, stop me if I'm going too fast. All right. So when we give the right intensity and the right focus, then the team or the team members solve the challenge. Yeah. Achieve the goal. And when they do that, they get satisfied. And then they release the energy because they're inspired. You know, we all get inspired when we achieve something, whether it's a big thing or a small thing, it doesn't matter. Yeah. That we often say it's more important to achieve lots of small things than one big one. Yeah. So, you know, always look for small improvements all the time. Now, what helps, of course, is reward and recognition. Yeah. So this amplifies inspirational energy. Yeah. So I can be satisfied by myself. But if somebody comes along to me and says, hey, that's a really good thing that you did. That's great. Yeah. Then they get even more inspired. Yeah. So they're already happy for themselves. But then if you go along and say, well done, yeah, they get even more inspired. Yeah. Reward and recognition doesn't mean to be money. Doesn't mean it has to be money. Sorry. Okay. So, you know, I've been to plenty of companies where they just keep giving people wage rises and salary increases because they think that's what people want. Of course, people want money, but very, very often people want more than just money. They want to be satisfied with what they're doing and knowing that they contribute to the workplace. Yeah. So that's really, really more important. In fact, you get a lot of people who will leave a company and say, I actually don't want to work here for any money because it's a really nasty place. Yeah. So create a great atmosphere and a great inspirational atmosphere where people can achieve, and you'll actually find that the amount of money that you have to pay them is much more competitive. Okay, so just obviously, as I said before, you've got to judge how much intensity and how much focus you give. Yeah, and to do that, you've got to be looking, listening, and sensing all the time. As a good energizer, a good leader, yeah, you've got to be looking and listening and sensing the people. Yeah, it's not one way, because sometimes it's too much for them, and you've got to put the brakes on. You've got to pull backwards. Sometimes you've got to give a lot of focus onto one single thing. Sometimes you've got to pull back. You've got to sort of decide: am I going wide now? Am I giving a larger focus onto more things, or am I going to go really detailed onto one? Yeah, always judging. Okay, so here we are. We meet the Energizer. Okay, the Energizers need all the above that we just said. You know, the walking around, the talking, the focus, all these things. They also need to be able to judge when is the right time to balance the focus and the intensity through sensitivity and awareness. Okay. Now, Energizers tend to be very passionate. Okay. So when we're looking for an Energizer, we're looking for somebody who can be passionate about what they do. Okay. Now, I was thinking about, how do I describe that? Because there's one thing is being passionate about something, But it's another thing if I'm passionate about something and I'm going to do something with it. Yeah. And I thought it'd be really good to be passionate and aggressive. Yeah. Like when you play, I said I like rugby. So when you say, oh, we're going to go out and I'm going to have a really aggressive game. Yeah. But that sounds negative to me. I thought, oh, that's no good. I can't say we you need to go into the team area and be passionate and aggressive, because that's not going to work. So I thought I'm going to have to make a new English word for this. I don't know how I would translate that in Croatian, but instead of aggression, I decided to invent the word progression. Okay. The normal English word would be with one less G. Then that anyway means to move forward, progression. Yeah. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking the best part of aggression, which is, really active and focused, and I'm putting it together with the passion and the force. So an energizer needs to be progressive. So we all need to be pros, okay? And always be trying to do things with a positive intent, trying to be positive. But being positive doesn't mean that we can't recognize when something is wrong and say it. Okay. It's really important to create a culture, where you can say it the way it is. When it's good, it's good. And when it's not good, it's not good. Yeah. But I always start from the position. I was saying this to somebody yesterday, nobody generally comes into the team to make the team bad. Generally, everybody wants to do the right thing. Yeah. Some people may be more capable than others. Yeah. Some people might have figured it out and others not. But I've never really found anywhere where somebody in the team really doesn't want to play. Yeah. And really doesn't want to contribute. Yeah. So if I can create that culture in the first place where we all appreciate that we're all here to do a good job, then I can then create the capability to go around and say to somebody, well, I know you're here to do a good job, but what you just did there was not good enough. Yeah. And so let's work together to make it better next time. Okay. So I am allowed to tell you that you're not doing a good enough job without you having a problem with your ponos or your pride. Okay. We have to park the pride on one side because we're here all to do a good job together. Okay, so the reaction, as we just said, this is just a repeat of what we said before. Give some intensity, give some focus, release some energy. And then it catalyzes, because if this guy, he got energized, he released some energy, he became an energizer himself, he gives intensity to somebody else, focus somebody else, and they all get energized. So everybody starts to energize everybody else. Yeah. And very often when I go into a factory or a company or whatever it is, I always try to figure out where these people are, these energizers, because not everybody's an energizer. We'll talk about that in a second. I try and find 2 or 3 people like this, in the area, and I will try and get them to energize first. Yeah. It's impossible for one person to energize 300 people. It's not possible. But what you do, you go in and you try and find 1, 2, or 3 people that you think you can get to start to energize, and you'll see then it becomes a knock-on effect. Yeah. Okay. Oops, did I go backwards then? Right. Okay, let's have a look at the team members then, because not all people are the same, okay? Not everybody starts as an energizer. Not everybody wants to be an energizer. Yeah. And that's fine. That's not a problem. Yeah. But everybody can energize. I've been in a company where practically 300 to 400 people all energized, and it's amazing. Yeah. But that takes time, that takes energy, and it takes, resource and all sorts of different things. But eventually it can get there. But when we're starting out, we've got to be realistic and we've got to be fair. Okay, we need to start somewhere. It's normally at the bottom. It's important to realize that different people energize in different circumstances. In other words, we're not all passionate about the same things, and we shouldn't be. Otherwise, we'd all be robots. Okay, so it's my job as a leader or an energizer or somebody who's trying to coordinate. I've got to find the right passion for the right person. Okay, and I call that placing the talent. And again, if I'm in the right culture, there's nothing wrong with me saying to somebody, look, this is just not for you. I know you're a really good person. Yeah. And I've worked in a company where they hired loads of really nice people. Everybody's really friendly with each other. But in the end, they were not all competent, but they were all good people, but they weren't the right people. They didn't have the right talent. So we've got to face up and say, look, let's find the right talent and put it in the right place. Okay. Don't overcook. Like I keep mentioning this, don't go over the top with the intensity. Yeah. And remember that you only have a certain amount of energy per day. Yeah. I said it was renewable, and it is, but don't blow yourself up trying to give energy. Yeah. So much that eventually, it takes you a long time to recover. So use your energy wisely. Okay. So you can be energized, but you can also be missing some inspirational energy. And normally the energizer's got to give these guys some energy. Okay. So let's meet some other team members. I've been in so many situations where people say, yeah, but I've just not got the right team. It's useless. I need a different team. Well, I disagree with that. You can't always choose your team members. I've been in very few situations where somebody is able to get the perfect team the first time around. Yeah. So you've got to start with who you've got. Okay. You always got to start work with what we have and get on with it. Not complain about the people. Yeah. Because we'll find a way actually to sort out that talent afterwards. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So we've got somebody who's energized. That's not the energizer, by the way. Yeah. This is just somebody who's now been inspired. It's somebody who's been motivated. Now they're also buzzing with some energy. You got the people who are, I call them the I'm okay guys. Yeah. So this is the person that comes to work at, let's say it's 8 till 4. They come to work at 8 and they leave at 4. You ask them to do 100%, they do 100%. They won't do 99. They won't do 101. They will always do 100. So they're absolutely, on the line. They just do exactly what they're told, and that's fine. Yeah. But they're not really inspired. They just, do their job and go home, and that's it. Then we have this guy here, or lady, and this is missing into inspirational energy. Okay, that's fairly obvious. They're having a bad day. Their dog's barking all the time, like mine are. And then we have this guy here, right? This is the energy absorber. Okay, so I said you can create as much energy as you want, but this person here, they can eat as much as you can give. And there's many different types of energy absorber. Okay. So you can have an energy absorber who talks nonstop, never allows you to get a word in. Yeah. And you're like, oh, come on. Really, I really want to ask you something, but they just don't let you say anything. Yeah. That takes a lot of energy. You can have people who are extremely defensive, so they don't want to share their information. Yeah. You have people that are pointing the finger all the time. Yeah, that's something I found in Croatia. From my experience, it's quite funny. As long as some, I'm being general, by the way. I'm not picking on anybody in particular. I found that very often people, as long as they've got an excuse why something happened and that it was not them, it's fine. Yeah. It's all okay as long as it's not my fault. Yeah. So the world can be blowing up, but if it wasn't me that did it, that's okay. Yeah. I have a case where a guy came to me and he said, oh, Pete, you know, the machine's not working. Yeah. We did everything right. Me and my team, we did everything right, but the machine is not working. And I said, well, what you're trying to say is that machine is wrong. Yeah, the machine is wrong. I said, but the machine is a machine. How can the machine be wrong? I said, you must have done something wrong. And he's like, no, we did everything right, but the machine's not working right. It's amazing. He was just not able to admit that somewhere along the line, one of his team had done something wrong. He was quite happy to say, it's nothing to do with the people, it's all to do with the machine. But unfortunately, machines are mechanical and they only depend on people to make them work. So, you know, you get people, and to be honest, we can all at any one point in time be one of these characters. You know, we all have our good days and our bad days, but there are certain types of people that are doing this a lot more than the others. And that's really not good. Yeah. So when I'm going into an organization, I'm trying to find, you know, the energizers on one hand and the energy absorbers on the other hand. And I'm not going to give all my energy to the energy absorber. I'm going to try and change them so they stop absorbing everybody's energy. Now, the tool I'm using to do that is what I call the sorting machine. And this is a tool that I developed after seeing a slightly different version, which was designed by a guy called Frank Devine, who's in the UK, and he's also some sort of a HR or organizational guru. Okay, so I took what he was doing and I built on that, and I call it the sorting machine. It's a very, very small picture. And this would be the topic of a new presentation. Okay, but basically the sorting machine, what it does, it says that you have to earn the right to get to a disciplinary level. Yeah, so you shouldn't immediately jump into oppermanners with people. Okay. Oppermanner is the last thing you need to be doing. And very often I find this is a failure in managers, that they just want to get straight in and give oppermanners, or start yelling at people instead of saying to people, hey, hang on a second. Did we set our expectations? Okay. Because the first thing you need to do, if you want somebody to do something, you need to set an expectation. And after that, then I've got to coach them. Okay. And if the coaching doesn't work, then I earn the right to teach them. But if the teaching doesn't work, I have the right to tell them. And if the telling doesn't work, then I have the right to discipline them. Yeah, because really, I've done all of the things that I possibly can to try and constructively develop this person, but they're simply just not responding. Yeah. Now, this machine is really cool because by using this sequence, set expectations, measure, coach, teach, tell, discipline, you basically end up having a situation where people either change and improve or they leave by themselves. Yeah. They leave because they realize that they're just the wrong talent in the wrong place. And that's the nicest way. Yeah. I actually haven't had to fire too many people in my whole career over 20 years, simply because I use this method here and don't just jump into this fire people, bam, 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 bam. I give people a chance first. Okay. All right. So next slide. So this is where we are. Okay. This is our sphere. I call it the O sphere because when you walk in, you go, oh, yeah, it's the operating sphere. So this could be a place of education. It can be the home. It can be the production area. It can be a hospital. It doesn't matter where it is, because all this that I'm talking about is applicable everywhere, all the time. Okay. So in our operating area or in our habitat, yeah, we have a bunch of stuff. Okay. We've got different types of people that we described before. You know, we've got the guy who's energized, the guy who's okay, but he's not really doing anything. We might have one or two energizers. They're not drawn on here. Okay. We've got also, very often, we've got these energy eaters. Yeah. These people who are, you know, holding people back. Yeah. Or dragging them down. And then very often you find places where there are barriers. Yeah. And barriers can be mental constraints, you know. Interesting, you know, when I first came to Croatia, my kids had been in school in Italy for some time, and they'd already got to counting above 40, the number 40. But when they were in prva razred, first class in school here, they had to start from the beginning again. And there was one day after lunch, I said, you know, as you do, you sort of test your kids. I said to my daughter, hey, what's 3 times 11? And she said, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? She said, no, I don't know. I don't know that. I said, but you did, because you learned it when you were in Italy. And she said, yes, I know, but I'm not allowed to know that. I said, what do you mean you're not allowed? She said, teacher said, we're not allowed to go above 30, right? So apparently in the school, they had been taught up to the number 30. And then somebody had said, you're not allowed to go above 30. Now, of course, the teacher didn't really mean that, but that had put a mental constraint into my daughter that said, I'm not allowed to talk about anything higher than 30. Yeah. And that can happen in the workplace as well. Yeah. If we say, you know, these are the limits, you're not allowed to think out of the box, then people will not think out of the box. Yeah. And then they don't grow, and then they don't develop. And then when you want them to actually think out of the box, they don't know how to do it. So it's very easy to put mental constraints in there, attitude, cultural constraints, procedural, organizational constraints. Yeah. We can't do this because there's a procedure. Yeah. I once had a case where I was organizing helicopter components for some military helicopters, and one of the drive shafts came from a company in Germany, and you probably know that, you know, each European country has different types of culture and different ways that the people react, and Germans tend to be very black and white in the way they work. And so I've got an aircraft on the ground somewhere in action, and they call and said, the drive shaft broke and we need a new one. Can you get me one? So I go into the production. I'm looking for a drive shaft. We don't have one because it's special. It's made of titanium. So I call the supplier and say, hey, have you got some titanium drive shafts? And the guy said, hang on a second, let me look for you. And he said, yeah, we've got it. We've got that drive shaft. I said, fantastic. Can I order it and can you ship it immediately? And he said, no. I said, why not? He said, well, because, you know, this guy, I don't know what his name was, Heinz or something. Let's say it's Heinz. Heinz is not here. I said, what do you mean Heinz is not here? He said, well, I don't sell those parts. I sell some other parts, but Heinz sells the drive shafts. And I said, when's Heinz coming back? He said, in a week, he's on holiday. I said, yeah, but I need the drive shaft now. He said, yeah, but I can't do it. It's not my job. I can't, you know, the procedure here in this company is that I must only sell my components and I'm not allowed to sell the components from anybody else. Yeah. So it's not the guy was actually not trying to be difficult. Yeah. He, you know, his culture and the way that they write procedures in Germany was so strong that he really, really couldn't do that. Yeah. So And basically I had to go up to the CEO to get the CEO to change the procedure, which allowed the guy to change his job and give me these pieces. He knew exactly how to do it, and he could have done it immediately. But the problem was the organization and the procedure was not flexible enough to allow that to happen. So you can have procedural barriers and constraints. Procedures are very important, but we also need to know how and when they might need to be improved. Physical constraints. So the latest company I'm working with, when I got over there, they'd all been sitting in an office, and instead of putting sound barriers up, they'd realized that there was too much sound. So what they did, they all separated out into different offices, some of which were like 300 meters away from the others. So the team got completely broken up and weren't able to communicate or have coffee together, or, you know, overhear what somebody else is saying and say, hey, I can help with that and stuff like this. So they actually built physical barriers between themselves, which basically cut down the capability to do all this communication and teamwork together. Yeah. Barriers are really no good. Yeah. Of course, you do need time to have your own peace. Yeah. So you do need to have areas where people can work alone and work in isolation. But you need to be able to have areas where you can be communal and you can be with the team at the same time. And misconceptions, misunderstandings. Yeah. How many times do I say one thing to somebody and they understand something completely different? Yeah. Again, that can be a completely new presentation about psychology and what I say and what you understand. Yeah. It's so funny. And especially when you're going across languages. One phrase in one language can mean something completely different in the other language. Okay, so we've got our operating sphere and our habitat. Okay, and we've got all these different constraints. So what we need to do is to fix and to get this operating sphere buzzing. Yeah, buzzing with energy. So 4 simple steps. Okay. First thing is I need to get that sorting machine out. Yeah, I need to start cleaning up these people. Yeah, finding out where the talent is and putting it in the right place. Setting the expectations, measuring, coaching, teaching, telling, and ultimately, if necessary, discipline. But like I said before, in my experience, you generally don't get that far, because either they activated properly or they just left the company. So, you know, get this out, use this tool, work with the people, and get rid of the energy absorbers. Okay. So we've cleaned up a few of these energy absorbers. Remove the constraints. So start taking these constraints down. Locate people that need to work together in the same place. Yeah. When people are discussing and disagreeing, get in there, sit down with them, figure out how they can get a win-win out of it. Yeah. Or at least make it nice and clear who's supposed to be doing what, who needs to contribute, and how they need to contribute. Okay. So certainly get the walls down. And again, that's why I'm more comfortable when I see people in the face and not over the computer. I know Zoom is really good and Teams is really good, but it's let's say it's the next best thing to being with people. Yeah, and these days, don't we create so many different constraints for ourselves? Yeah, the number of managers that I coach that use emails to communicate, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm so allergic to emails. Yeah, emails is simply putting up a wall. Yeah, where and reducing your own responsibility, because you say, and don't you get these emails where I send an email to you and I put in copy about 15 other people just so they can see that I sent it to you? It's, you know, it's not like when you're going to go to talk to somebody, you say, hey, everybody come with me because I'm just about to say something to Josip. Everybody listen to me. Yeah, I'm saying this to Josip. Now you all know that I said that to Josip, right? It's stupid, but we do it all the time with the emails. So I'm always telling people, cut out the emails, cut them out. Yeah, it's just an excuse not to talk to people. It's not social, it's antisocial. Next best thing is at least use the telephone. Use the mobile phone for the phone, not for the email. Yeah. If you can do one better, then get on the Teams, get on the Zoom, look at people, put your cameras on so you can see each other and be more, you know, more together. And the best of all is be there, literally be there. If you know, somebody asked me a few months ago, hey, you know, can you do some improvement for us over the computer? And I said, if you're a factory, no chance. It's not possible. I've got to come to the factory and be in the factory to be able to do anything with it. I can't not be there. Yeah. So these, you know, be very aware of these IT social media constraints. Okay. Remove them. Energize and catalyze. Okay. So we said, find a few energizers, give your energy to them, and let them start to energize the other people with this catalyst effect. Yeah. So eventually, you know, we've got rid of the energy absorbers with the sorting machine. We've started to energize some of these people, and they start to energize the I'm okay people as well. Yeah. And then in the end, we reflect and amplify, and there's ways of doing that. Yeah. So I said we'd talk about the operating boards before. Yeah. And visualized stuff. Yeah. So this is stuff that oops, what happened there? Hang on a second. Go back. Previous. Okay. This is actually, you can see this is in Croatian. So this is done in Croatia. Yeah. And this was not done by me. This was done by the people in the factory. And they put on the boards stuff to do with quality, breakdowns, safety, yeah, and other stuff to do with, you know, how they're doing. And the reason we do this is, one thing, we can see how we're doing and we can see if we're doing not so good. Yeah. But the other reason is we celebrate him when we do good. Yeah. So, you know, perhaps my department's not doing so well, so I'm not so energized. But then I walk through the next department, I see some good news on the board, then that energizes me as well. I'm like, oh, actually, it's not so bad because these guys are doing okay. Yeah. And the overall picture is generally good. So this is what I talk about amplifying. Yeah. Is put that good news, put that good performance into a visible area so we can all see it, and let's get around the team board and let's celebrate it together. And then, you know, it does this reward and recognition, remembering that we don't need to give money to give people a reward. Yeah. The biggest reward you can give somebody is to say thank you. And we often forget to do that. Yeah. There's this old story about the person that walks through the door. Yeah. And as he's walking to the door, somebody opens the door for him. Yeah. And that person that opened the door, they think, oh, that's a nice thing I did. I'm happy that I did that. And the guy that's walking through the door also thinks it's nice. It's, hey, isn't that nice that person opened the door for me? I'm happy about that. It put me in a good mood. Yeah. And then what happens is, because the guy opened the door, the other one says, thank you for opening me the door. Thank you, as he's passing through. And then the guy that opened the door, he's like, wow, this is really, really inspirational, because I decided to open that door. I did a good thing, and I even got a thank you for it. Yeah. So everybody goes away with a win-win situation, good mood. So just the word "fala," thank you, is all it's required sometimes to get people to energize and be inspired. So there we go. This is a recap then. So the inspirational energy, is about getting people to achieve excellence. But excellence is achieving. So it's constant. It doesn't matter if you don't get good results today. What's important is you get a process and an organization into place which can take you on that journey to excellence. The three point of the triangle, the energizer and team member and a challenge will give an improvement. Improvement produces inspirational energy. You've got to be careful of the intensity and the focus. So the energizer is giving the intensity to the member and the focus to the challenge. Be progressive, so be positive, but that doesn't mean to say you're not allowed to say when it doesn't work. And then we've got the 4 steps to clean up your operation or wherever it is, your school, your hospital, your factory. And the 4 steps are let's clean in place. Let's get that machine out. Let's start sorting out the talent, putting the talent in the right place, coaching, teaching, telling. Let's remove those constraints. Be very careful with these IT constraints that we create ourselves. Energize and catalyze. So give your energy. Give that intensity to a few energizers who can then generate their own energy and inspire others. And reflect and amplify. So get it visible. When we're doing good, let's make it visible and let's share it as much as possible. And I've not had a problem with this at all yet. It's always worked. Now it sounds like I've done this in a million places. I haven't done it in a million places, but as I said before, this is 20 years of work, that I've been developing this. And this is now actually a set way of working that I use. And if you go into a company where I have worked and this has been applied, they will all know and they'll all be able to sort of relate to you how this really does help and it works. And it really creates a motivated team. Much, much more than money. Okay, so there we go. Thanks for listening. That's the credits. That's my company. And that's me.